Welcome to our first interview of our Masterclass Global Actors for Peace, and I have the honor to welcome here the judge of the European Court of Human Rights, Mirjana Lazarova Trajkovska, and I'm really thankful for being with us. Mirjana, I would really like in this short interview for our students mostly to ask you, how do you understand your role as an international judge?
The role of the international judge is extremely responsible. This is perhaps something that was leading me during my time at the European Court of Human Rights. But at the same time, it's inspiring because you feel that you are creating something. You are part of the creative work with a lot of possibilities of seeing how human rights are developing here in front of you at the court. But also it's challenging. It's extremely challenging in these difficult times of economic crisis of different nature. And I see the international judge as someone who is obliged to be present in reality, someone who is obliged to be well informed in order to preserve standards linked with human rights, but also not to diminish or not to see the burden of the crucial issue that is in front of the judge.
Mirjana, today you will talk with us about the role of the European Court of Human Rights and the European Convention in pacification process in Central and Eastern Europe. Could you give us a little, let's say, anticipation of what you will tell today?
Well, as you know, after 1990, when Hungary joined the European Court of Human Rights, the process of integrating countries from Central and Eastern Europe was on a way to bring something new for the European Court of Human Rights. And in past 27 years, I see a strong interaction between national courts and European Court of Human Rights. The impact of the European Convention on Human Rights in Central and Eastern European countries is visible. It's a positive impact, I will say. You might see this in a way how judiciary is functioning nowadays, but also there are many legislative changes as a result of the judgments of the European Court of Human Rights. Of course, some judgments are not immediately perceived as positive impact for national courts because they are quite sensitive when it comes to the judgments linked with their previous judgments. But this is the reason for dialogue among the courts. And I will say that I see the strong influence of the European Court of Human Rights precisely in the dialogue between Supreme Courts and constitutional courts with the European Court of Human Rights. Because writing judgments and announcing judgments is not enough. It requires a lot of interaction, a lot of discussions, lecturing, exchange of views. And I consider this the dialogue as most influential form of disseminating standards and principles of the European Court of Human Rights. I was some years ago member of CDDH, Steering Committee on Human Rights at the Council of Europe. I was member of Venice Commission, and I can tell you that I was witnessing how European Convention on Human Rights was reshaping and helping national judges to bring human rights standards not only in legislation, but also in everyday life through judgments. So I will try to speak a little bit about this with some concrete examples and with I will use some judgments, of course, of the European Court of Human Rights. And I will try to explain also why and how European Court of Human Rights was influenced by Central and East European countries, because there is also vice versa influence. And this was helping the court to develop some new working methods like pilot judgment procedure and some other elements of the working methodology.
Wonderful. From what I understand, this is somehow a positive narrative of the role of the court. And also a positive narrative of the impact it had on domestic legislation, judiciary, and so on. Now my question is going to the dark side of the moon. What are today, in your opinion, the main challenges and limits in the working method of the court?
Well, as you know, the court is, many theoreticians, many people from academia are saying that the court is victim of its own success. But indeed, there are many challenges. There is a lot of criticism toward the court from a side of states when they are not happy with our judgments, but also at the same time, same criticism comes from human rights activists when the court, in their view, is too conservative, in brackets. The main challenges are, in fact, reflecting the situation in Europe nowadays. Everything that we see on a political or economical arena in Europe, in Central, East, but also in West European countries, is more or less either in front of the court or on the way to the European Court of Human Rights, and always through the angle of human rights. Nowadays, the court is dealing with, at least as I know from the last statistics, 60,000 cases that are coming from Turkey due to the political situation in this country in the last 2 years. But also the court is still dealing with thousands of cases that are coming from Ukraine concerning non-execution of the judgments. The court is dealing with many aspects of social and economical life concerning retirements and the issue of discrimination. The court is dealing, and it will deal with the questions linked with immigrants and their human rights. This was also quite important element of discussion between Luxembourg Court and European Court of Human Rights in past years. New aspects concerning family and family rights, children, and artificial insemination, for example, as new questions which are linked with the family life, or many aspects of the freedom of sexual orientation are still in front of the court. So you see, there are different issues, different questions, which will be quite big challenge for the court in years to come.
Judge Mirjana Lazarova Trajkovska, I thank you very much for this interview and for being with us today. I tell to our students to see the recording of the whole lecture of Mirjana that will be available for you in the coming weeks. Thank you again, and good work.
Thank you,
okay,
Valentina.
Thank you.
Thank you.